Hello, my name is Eric Johnson, and today we'll be discussing the case study mentioned at the end of Chapter 5 in our textbook. Lauren, the project manager assigned to this project for Sharp Printing, has her work cut out for her. Top management has come up with an idea for an affordable, high-quality color printer at a price point of $200. They've come up with a top-down cost estimate, and they've communicated basic parameters to middle management already. Lauren, however, has received bottom-up estimates from key stakeholders which put the cost significantly higher. At this point, what would I do if I was project manager? If I were in Lauren's shoes, the first thing I would need to do is realize it's my job to tell top management their cost estimate is far too low. My job as project manager requires this, and there's no getting around it. However, before I approach management with the news of my findings, I would formulate solutions to the problem in order to have some things to discuss with them. Part of my discussion with them would be a request for a priority responsibility matrix to help me make decisions that complete the project and align the process with what they want the most. Was top management acting correctly in developing an estimate? They were acting correctly, and they did use top-down estimating in a proper way. This printer will be both top of the line and affordable, so getting a rough idea is entirely tenable. Management's mistake, however, was using their estimate as a starting point in communication with middle management and others in the organization before even selecting the project manager. In other words, they jumped the gun. If the project is to proceed and succeed, however, the bottom-up estimates Lauren came up with based on input from stakeholders should be used going forward. As discussed above, this will be in conflict with top management's estimates, but the expert judgment and specificity inherent in the bottom-up estimates should not be set aside. Using the estimate from top management will make all involved look bad when things inevitably go awry. So, what estimating techniques should be used? For a project like this, in which time is of the essence in getting this printer to market, both top-down and bottom-up should be used. As already discussed, the top-down technique used by management was exactly what they should have done in their brainstorming session. Even work such as their work breakdown structure in rough format and basic deliverables was a good idea in this beginning phase. The switch to the bottom-up estimates should begin as the work breakdown structure progresses down to the work package level. For a complex project like this, the use of both methods provides maximum opportunity for management buy-in as well as expert judgment. So what options are available at this point? Well, once they've identified priorities, action can be taken toward beginning the project. Examples of such actions include, but are not limited to, first, increasing the budget. There are some pros with this option. Time and performance will not be sacrificed, and Lauren can effectively utilize resources in the way she sees most effective. The biggest negative is that the printer will possibly have to be sold for more than $200 to reach the target margins. Second, they could decrease performance. The positive here is that the project will likely be able to be completed on time and on budget. A potential negative is that consumers might not want to pay $200 for a printer that doesn't give them more value for their dollar. Third, they could extend the launch deadline. A positive here is that neither quality nor price point are sacrificed. The negative is Sharp risks not being the first to produce a printer of this kind to market, which likely would at best allow them to break even. Fourth, they could crash the project schedule. This likely would not become an option until further into the planning process when a network diagram and schedule are in place, but compressing the schedule could yield the savings required and allow the project to still be completed on schedule. At the same time, this option runs the risk of not completing the project on time and still going over budget. These are by no means the only options available, but are some of the most viable. At this point in the process, Lauren has some action to take. She first needs to find out what management's priorities are. She needs to communicate with her team, create a plan which aligns to those priorities and goals, and then she needs to communicate with middle management and other stakeholders what the changes are so they can perform the tasks. While she is in a tough spot, it is a fairly typical one for a project manager to find himself or herself in. Intentional, strategic decision-making will set Lauren and her team up for success in delivering this new printer.